What if I told you that a simple 1 cent coin sitting in your pocket right now could be worth not hundreds, not thousands, but millions of dollars? It sounds unbelievable, but it's absolutely real. Hidden among everyday pocket change are rare Lincoln wheat pennies that have turned ordinary people into instant millionaires. These coins may look old and ordinary at first glance, but their history, rarity, and unique minting errors have made them some of the most valuable coins ever discovered in circulation. The Lincoln wheat penny, first introduced in 1909, is one of the most iconic coins in American history. Designed to honor President Abraham Lincoln, it quickly became a symbol of American heritage. But what most people don't realize is that certain years and mint marks of these pennies are incredibly rare today. Because of minting mistakes, low production numbers, and unique metal compositions, some of these coins are now worth life-changing amounts of money. Today, we're diving into the top 4 most valuable wheat Lincoln pennies that could still be hiding in circulation. Coins from 1944, 1948, 1952D, and 1952. These are not just coins. These are lucky coins, millionaire coins, the kind of discoveries that can completely change your life overnight. Let's start with the legendary 1944 wheat penny. During World War II, the U.S. Mint experimented with different metals due to shortages. While most 1944 pennies were made from copper, a few rare ones were mistakenly struck in steel, the same material used in 1943 pennies. These error coins are extremely rare, and if you find one, it could be worth over $1 million depending on its condition. Imagine finding a coin worth that much just lying in your spare change. Next up is the 1948 wheat penny. At first glance, it may not seem special, but certain high-grade versions and coins with rare mint errors can fetch thousands of dollars. In pristine condition, these coins become highly desirable among collectors, especially those with sharp details and original red color. While not all 1948 pennies are worth a fortune, the right one could still bring in a serious payday. Now let's talk about the 1952 D wheat penny. Coins minted in Denver carry the D mint mark, and while millions were produced, only a small number exist today in flawless condition. High-grade examples or coins with unique minting flaws can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. For collectors, finding one in near-perfect condition is like striking gold. Finally, we have a 1952 wheat penny from Philadelphia, which has no mint mark. This coin may seem common, but certain rare varieties and error coins from this year can be incredibly valuable. Some have double dies, off-center strikes, or other minting mistakes that significantly increase their value. In top condition, these coins can also reach impressive prices and are considered lucky finds among coin hunters. These coins are still out there, hidden in jars, drawers, old collections, and even in everyday transactions. That's what makes them so exciting. You don't need to be a professional collector to find one. All you need is a little knowledge, a sharp eye, and a bit of luck. So before you spend your next penny, take a closer look. That small piece of copper could be your ticket to becoming a millionaire. Before you toss your spare change aside or ignore that old jar of coins sitting quietly in your room, pause for just a second, because what if one of those tiny copper coins you've been overlooking is more than just pocket change? What if it carries a story, a hidden detail, or a collector's interest that most people never notice? Coins are often dismissed as small and insignificant, but in reality, they are pieces of history you can hold in your hand. Every mark, every date, every mint letter tells something real, something that has survived decades. And sometimes, the most ordinary-looking coins are the ones that spark the most curiosity among collectors. Today, we're diving into one such coin, a piece that many people have seen, many have spent, and very few have truly understood. If you've ever come across wheat pennies or heard someone talk about lucky coins, then this is something you'll want to pay close attention to. Because this coin is not about wild claims or unrealistic hype. It's about understanding what makes a coin interesting, collectible, and sometimes quietly valuable over time. And once you start noticing these details, you'll never look at a penny the same way again. 1958 de wheat penny. Now let's focus on the coin itself. The 1958 D wheat penny is one of the final issues of the wheat reverse design, making it part of the closing chapter of a long-running and iconic era in American coinage. The wheat penny design, first introduced in 1909, had been in circulation for nearly 50 years by the time 1958 arrived. That alone gives this coin a unique position. It represents the end of something historic. In 1959, the design changed to the Lincoln Memorial reverse, so the 1958 wheat penny stands as one of the last of its kind. For collectors, coins that mark the end of a series often carry a special kind of attention. Not because they're always rare, but because they symbolize transition. The D mint mark on this coin tells us that it was produced at the Denver Mint. You'll find this small letter just below the date on the obverse side of the coin. While millions of these coins were struck, making them relatively common in circulated condition, that doesn't mean they are without interest. In fact, the 1958 D wheat penny is often one of the first coins that new collectors encounter when they begin exploring wheat cents. Its availability makes it accessible, but its position in history keeps it relevant. This coin is made from a copper alloy, typically 95% copper with small amounts of tin and zinc. It weighs around 3.11 grams and has a diameter of about 19 millimeters, which was standard for U.S. pennies of that era. When you hold one, you'll notice its warm, rich tone, especially if it has retained some of its original red color. That natural copper glow is something collectors pay attention to, because over time, coins tend to darken into brown shades due to oxidation. A coin that still shows bright red color, often referred to as red or RD in grading terms, is usually more desirable than one that has turned fully brown. Now here's where things get interesting. While the 1958 D wheat penny is common in general circulation grades, its value can increase depending on condition. Coins that are heavily worn, scratched, or faded are typically worth only a small premium over face value. But as the condition improves, especially into uncirculated grades where the coin shows little to no wear, the appeal grows. Collectors often look for coins with strong details, clean surfaces, and minimal marks. Even small differences in condition can make a noticeable difference in how a coin is viewed in the market. Another factor that adds interest is the possibility of varieties or errors. Although not extremely common, some 1958 pennies have been examined for doubling or unusual minting characteristics. These types of variations can attract attention because they make a coin stand out from the millions of standard examples. However, identifying such features requires a careful eye, sometimes magnification, and often comparison with verified examples. When people refer to lucky wheat pennies, they're often talking about coins that feel special for personal reasons. Maybe they were found unexpectedly, passed down through family, or discovered in an old collection. The 1958 D wheat penny fits perfectly into this idea. It's not just about high value. It's about the experience of finding something old, something that has traveled through time and ended up in your hands. For many collectors, that moment of discovery is just as meaningful as any price tag. If you happen to come across a 1958 D wheat penny, the best thing you can do is examine it carefully. Look at the date and mint mark. Check the condition. Are the details of Lincoln's portrait still sharp? Are the wheat lines on the reverse clearly visible? Does the coin have original luster, or has it darkened over time? These small observations can help you understand what you're holding. One important thing to remember is to never clean the coin. It might seem like a good idea to make it look shiny, but cleaning can actually damage the surface and reduce its collector appeal. Original surfaces, even if they show age, are preferred by collectors because they reflect the coin's true history. For those who want to take things a step further, coins can be evaluated and graded by professional organizations like Professional Coin Grading Service or Numismatic Guarantee Company. These companies assess the condition of coins and assign them a grade, which helps standardize how they are valued and traded. While not every coin needs professional grading, higher quality examples or coins with unusual features are often submitted for evaluation. The 1958 D wheat penny may not always be the most expensive coin out there, but it holds a quiet importance. It represents the end of an era, a design that lasted for decades, and a piece of everyday history that millions of people once used without a second thought. Today, it serves as a reminder that even the smallest objects can carry meaning, especially when you take the time to look closer. And that's really what this is all about: slowing down, paying attention, and recognizing that value isn't always obvious at first glance. Sometimes, it's hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. So the next time you come across a penny, especially one with those familiar wheat designs on the back, don't just pass it by. Take a moment. Look at it. Because whether it turns out to be common or something a little more special, you've just connected with a small piece of history that has been traveling for decades to reach you. Before you toss that handful of loose change onto the table or drop a penny into a jar without a second thought, take a moment and really look at it, because hidden among ordinary coins could be a small piece of history that collectors quietly search for every single day. Most people never pay attention to pennies anymore. They feel too common, too small to matter. But the truth is, certain wheat pennies have a story, a presence, and sometimes even a value that goes far beyond their face worth. These coins have traveled through decades, passed from hand to hand, survived changing times, and somehow managed to remain in circulation or tucked away in forgotten places. And every once in a while, one of them stands out, not because it shines brighter than the rest, but because of the details most people overlook. Today, we're taking a closer look at one of those coins, a coin that many would ignore, but collectors recognize instantly when they see the right signs. This is the kind of coin that can turn an ordinary moment into something surprisingly interesting, especially if you know exactly what to look for. 1952 de wheat penny. At first glance, the 1952 D wheat penny looks like any other old coin you might find mixed in with spare change. It carries that familiar copper tone, slightly aged, sometimes darker depending on how it has been stored or used over the years. The front shows the profile of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has become one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. Flip it over, and you'll see the classic wheat ears framing the words 1 cent, a design that gives this coin its well-known nickname, the wheat penny. But what makes this particular coin worth talking about is not just how it looks, but where it comes from and how it has survived over time. The small D mint mark located just below the date tells you that this coin was produced at the Denver Mint. During the early 1950s, the Denver facility was striking millions of coins to keep up with the growing economy and increasing demand for everyday currency. Because of this high production, many people assume that coins like the 1952 D penny are too common to be of any real interest. And in heavily circulated condition, that assumption is often true. You might find examples that are worn smooth, with faded details and a dull appearance, and those typically carry only a modest value. But that's not the whole story. What changes everything is condition. When a 1952 D wheat penny is found in higher grades, especially in uncirculated condition where the original mint luster is still visible, the coin becomes far more desirable to collectors. That bright reddish color, often referred to as red by collectors, indicates that the coin has retained much of its original surface without being heavily exposed to air, moisture, or handling. Coins like this are not as easy to find as you might think, because most pennies from that era were used daily and rarely set aside in pristine condition. Now imagine holding one of these coins that has managed to avoid heavy wear for over 70 years. The details in Lincoln's hair are still sharp. The lines in the wheat ears on the reverse remain clear and defined. The surface reflects light in a way that immediately sets it apart from typical circulated coins. That difference is subtle to a casual observer, but to a collector, it's everything. It's the difference between a common coin and one that deserves a closer look. Another detail that adds interest to the 1952 D wheat penny is the possibility of minor minting variations. While not every coin will have them, some examples show slight doubling in the lettering or numbers, or small irregularities in the mint mark itself. These are the kinds of features that collectors often examine carefully, sometimes using magnification, because even a small variation can make a coin more appealing within certain collecting circles. It's not about dramatic errors in every case. It's about uniqueness and character. The composition of this coin also connects it to an earlier era. Made primarily of copper, with a small percentage of tin and zinc, it has a weight of about 3.11 grams and a diameter of 19 millimeters. This was the standard for pennies before later changes in metal composition, and it gives the coin a solid, substantial feel compared to modern cents. That warm copper tone, especially when preserved well, is one of the reasons collectors continue to appreciate wheat pennies long after they stop being produced. There's also a certain idea among collectors that coins like the 1952D wheat penny can be considered lucky finds. Not because every example is rare or extremely valuable, but because discovering one in better-than-expected condition feels like uncovering something that wasn't meant to stand out, yet somehow did. It's that small moment of surprise when you realize a coin you almost ignored actually has something interesting about it. That's part of what keeps people searching through rolls of coins, old jars, and inherited collections. If you ever come across a 1952D wheat penny, the best thing you can do is take a closer look before doing anything else. Check the surface. Notice the color. Look at the details in the design. And most importantly, resist the urge to clean it. Cleaning might seem like a way to improve its appearance, but it often does the opposite in terms of collector value. Original surfaces, even with slight toning or minor marks, are generally preferred over coins that have been polished or altered. Some collectors choose to have coins professionally evaluated and graded, especially if they believe the condition is above average. Organizations like Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company provide standardized grading that helps establish a coin's condition in the market. While not every 1952D penny needs to be graded, higher quality examples can benefit from that added level of verification. Over time, interest in wheat pennies has remained steady. New collectors enter the hobby, experienced collectors refine their collections, and coins like the 1952D continue to circulate in the background of this ongoing interest. It's not always about finding a coin worth a fortune. Sometimes it's about recognizing the details that others miss and understanding why those details matter. So the next time you come across a penny, especially one with that familiar wheat design on the back, don't rush past it. Take a second look. That small copper coin might just be another ordinary piece of change, or it might be a well-preserved 1952D wheat penny quietly carrying decades of history in the palm of your hand. Stop for a second before you scroll past this, because what I'm about to tell you might sound ordinary at first, but it carries a level of importance most people completely overlook. Think about the last time you saw a penny. You probably didn't even pick it up, right? Maybe it was lying on the ground, sitting in your drawer, or mixed in with loose change that you never bothered to check. But what if one of those pennies wasn't just a coin? What if it was a small piece of history with a value far beyond 1 cent? Welcome to Coin Relave, where we take simple coins and uncover the deeper story behind them. The kind of details that most people miss, but collectors quietly pay attention to. Today, we're focusing on a coin that looks completely normal at first glance, yet holds a fascinating place in history and continues to attract attention in the collector world even today. And the truth is, if you don't know what to look for, you could easily pass it by without realizing what you had in your hands. 1944 wheat penny. Now let's talk about the 1944 wheat penny, a coin that was born during one of the most intense periods in modern history. In 1944, the world was still in the middle of World War II, and the United States was heavily focused on supporting the war effort. Just 1 year earlier, in 1943, pennies were made from steel coated with zinc because copper was needed for military equipment. Those steel pennies looked very different, gray, shiny, and magnetic. But in 1944, something changed again. The U.S. Mint returned to using copper for pennies, but not in the usual way. Instead of fresh copper, they used recycled metal, often from spent shell casings collected from military training grounds. That means the 1944 wheat penny isn't just a coin. It's literally connected to wartime history in a very direct way. When you look at 1944 wheat penny, the first thing you'll notice is its familiar design. On the front, you have the profile of Abraham Lincoln, a design that was first introduced in 1909. On the back, you'll see the words 1 cent in the center with 2 wheat ears on either side. This is where the name wheat penny comes from. It's a simple design, but it carries a classic look that collectors still appreciate today. The coin is made from a copper alloy, giving it that warm brown or reddish tone, depending on its condition. Its weight is about 3.11 grams, and the diameter is around 19 millimeters, which was standard for pennies of that era. Now here's where things start to get more interesting. Not all 1944 wheat pennies are exactly the same. Just like many U.S. coins, they were produced at different mint locations. If your coin has no mint mark under the date, it means it was made in Philadelphia. If you see a small D, it was minted in Denver. And if there's an S, it came from San Francisco. Each mint produced millions of coins that year, so in general, 1944 wheat pennies are not considered rare in lower grades. But that doesn't mean they're worthless. Condition plays a huge role here, and this is where most people make mistakes. Coins that have been heavily circulated tend to lose their detail over time. The edges become smooth, the lettering fades, and the overall appearance becomes dull. These are the coins you usually find in old jars or mixed change. But when a 1944 wheat penny is found in higher condition, especially in what collectors call uncirculated or mint state, the story changes completely. In these cases, the coin still has sharp details, and sometimes it even retains its original red color, often referred to as full red by collectors. These coins are far more desirable and can command significantly higher prices compared to worn examples. Another important detail that often gets overlooked is the surface of the coin. Many people think that cleaning a coin will make it more valuable, but in reality, it does the opposite. Cleaning can remove the natural surface and damage the coin's original finish, which collectors highly value. A coin with original, untouched surfaces, even if it shows some natural aging, is usually worth more than one that has been cleaned to look shiny. So if you ever come across a 1944 wheat penny, the best thing you can do is leave it exactly as you found it. Now let's talk about something that truly captures the attention of serious collectors: errors and unusual variations. While most 1944 wheat pennies are made from copper, there are a few extremely rare cases where pennies from that year were accidentally struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943. These 1944 steel pennies are incredibly rare and have sold for very high prices at auctions. But it's important to understand that these are exceptions, not the norm. The vast majority of 1944 pennies you'll encounter will be copper. Still, the possibility of rare variations is one of the reasons why people continue to check their coins so carefully. Collectors also pay close attention to grading, which is the process of evaluating a coin's condition and assigning it a score. This is often done by professional organizations like Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company. A higher grade means better condition, and better condition usually means higher value. Even small differences in grade can have a noticeable impact on how much a coin is worth in the market. That's why experienced collectors take the time to study details like luster, strike quality, and surface preservation. Beyond value, there's something else that makes the 1944 wheat penny special, and that's its connection to history. This coin was produced at a time when the world was going through major changes. Every coin from that year passed through the hands of people living in a completely different era, an era shaped by war, uncertainty, and resilience. Holding one today is like holding a small piece of that past. It's a reminder of how even everyday objects can carry stories that last for generations. In today's market, 1944 wheat pennies are still widely collected. They're often used as entry-level coins for beginners because they're affordable and easy to recognize, but they also offer enough variation and historical significance to keep experienced collectors interested. Whether it's finding a high-grade example, identifying a mint mark, or simply appreciating the design, there's always something to learn from this coin. So the next time you come across a penny, don't just ignore it. Take a closer look. Check the date. Look for a mint mark. Pay attention to the condition. Because while most coins may seem ordinary, a little knowledge can completely change the way you see them. And sometimes, that small moment of curiosity is all it takes to turn a simple coin into something much more meaningful. If you want to keep discovering coins like this and understand what makes them special, stay connected with Coin Relave, where every coin has a story and every detail matters. Stop for a moment before you scroll away, because what you're about to hear might completely change the way you look at the smallest coins in your pocket. Most people don't think twice about pennies. They drop them into jars, leave them in drawers, or spin them without even looking at the date. But hidden among those ordinary coins are pieces of history. Coins that carry stories, rarity, and in some cases, a level of collector interest that surprises almost everyone who discovers them. Welcome to Coin Relave, where we take simple coins and uncover the deeper details that most people miss. Today, we're focusing on a coin that doesn't scream value at first glance, doesn't shine like silver or gold, but quietly holds a place in the world of collectors due to its history, its variations, and its condition sensitivity. If you've ever come across old pennies and ignored them, this is the moment to start paying closer attention, because even a single detail can make all the difference. 1948 wheat penny. Now let's get into the coin itself. The 1948 wheat penny comes from a period just after World War II, a time when the United States was rebuilding, industries were expanding, and everyday coins were heavily used in daily transactions. This coin is part of the Lincoln Wheat Cent series, which began in 1909 and continued until 1958. What makes the wheat penny instantly recognizable is its reverse design. Two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent, a design that represents growth, simplicity, and American identity. On the front, you have the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has remained one of the most iconic in U.S. coinage history. The 1948 penny was produced in 3 main mint locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia coins do not carry a mint mark, while Denver coins feature a small D below the date, and San Francisco coins have an S in the same position. At first glance, these small letters may seem insignificant, but for collectors, they are critical. Each mint had different production numbers, and these differences can influence how desirable a coin becomes, especially when combined with condition. In terms of composition, the 1948 wheat penny is made of a bronze alloy consisting of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This gives the coin its classic reddish-brown appearance when it is well preserved. The coin weighs approximately 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters, which was standard for pennies of that era. While these technical details might seem minor, they help collectors verify authenticity and understand the coin's original specifications. Condition is where things start to get more interesting. Most 1948 pennies were heavily circulated, meaning they passed through countless hands in everyday transactions. As a result, many of them today show signs of wear: smooth surfaces, faded details, and a darker brown color. These are considered common circulated examples and are usually not highly valuable. However, when you find a 1948 wheat penny in higher grades, especially in what collectors call uncirculated condition, the situation changes. Uncirculated coins have little to no wear, and their original mint luster is still visible. Even more desirable are coins classified as red, meaning they retain most of their original copper color. These pieces tend to stand out and attract more attention in the collector market. Another factor that adds interest to the 1948 wheat penny is the possibility of mint variations and minor errors. While the year itself is not known for extremely rare major errors, small variations such as doubled lettering, slight misalignments, or repunched mint marks can occasionally be found. These details are often overlooked by the average person, but collectors actively search for them. A coin with a noticeable and verified variation can become significantly more desirable compared to a standard example. It's also important to understand how collectors evaluate coins today. Professional grading plays a major role in determining both authenticity and condition. Organizations like Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company examine coins closely and assign them a grade based on their condition. This grade helps standardize the market and gives buyers confidence when purchasing coins. A 1948 wheat penny that has been professionally graded and certified will generally be more trusted and easier to sell compared to a raw, ungraded coin. One of the most common mistakes people make with coins like this is cleaning them. It might seem logical to polish a coin to make it look better, but in the world of coin collecting, cleaning can actually reduce value. It removes the natural surface and can leave behind tiny scratches or unnatural shine that experienced collectors can easily spot. For a coin like the 1948 wheat penny, originality is far more important than appearance. Even if the coin looks a bit dull or toned, that natural aging is often preferred over a clean surface. When it comes to value, the 1948 wheat penny is generally considered an affordable entry point for collectors. Circulated examples can often be found for a small premium over face value, while higher-grade uncirculated coins can reach higher prices depending on their color and overall quality. The San Francisco Mint version, marked with an S, had a relatively lower mintage compared to the Philadelphia version, which can make it slightly more desirable in better condition. However, it's important to remember that value is not determined by the year alone. Condition, color, and eye appeal all play a significant role. Beyond value, what truly makes the 1948 wheat penny special is its connection to history. This coin represents a time of transition, a period when the world was recovering and moving forward. It was used in everyday life, buying groceries, paying for small items, passing from one person to another without any thought that decades later it would become a collectible item. That journey through time is part of what makes coin collecting so fascinating. Each coin carries a silent story, and the 1948 wheat penny is no exception. If you're someone who is just starting to explore coin collecting, this coin is a great place to begin. It's easy to identify, widely available, and offers a chance to learn about mint marks, grading, and condition. If you already have a collection, searching for a high-quality 1948 example, especially one with strong luster and minimal marks, can be a rewarding goal. Some collectors even go a step further and try to collect all mint variations of a specific year, building a complete set that showcases subtle differences. There's also something satisfying about the hunt itself. Checking old jars, going through inherited collections, or even searching through rolls of coins from the bank can sometimes lead to interesting finds. While it's not common to discover extremely rare coins this way, it does happen occasionally, and that possibility keeps many collectors engaged. Even when you don't find something rare, you gain experience and develop a better eye for detail. At the end of the day, the 1948 wheat penny is a reminder that value isn't always obvious. A coin that looks ordinary can still have meaning, history, and collector interest. The key is knowing what to look for and understanding how small details, like condition, mint mark, and originality, can make a difference. So the next time you come across an old penny, don't ignore it. Take a closer look. Check the date, examine the surface, and notice the details. You might not always find something rare, but you'll start to see coins in a completely different way.